Seamless acceptance is here, and mailers all over the country are working to successfully comply with its requirements. We're here to tell you their stories. Welcome to Seamless Success, where we guide you to successful seamless acceptance strategies. Tune in as Jeff People sits down with successful mailers, highlighting their colorful stories to illustrate their winning strategies. Listen to their valuable insights. Discover the right tools and processes they used. Understand best practices and grow your seamless success. Here is your host, Jeff Peoples.
Welcome, Richard and Nate. I'm real excited about today. You're getting a sneak peek of the new Intelligent Mail assessment platform. And before we begin, though, I just like to say a few things about what's been going on here. So, Richard, you've been developing SaaS applications for many, many years and really successful ones, making it so that it's so much easier to use. What I saw you transform the Infusionsoft from what people used to call Confusionsoft to really Infusionsoft being a much easier to use and having it so that the campaign builder really worked. And now I see this happening here at Window Book, so I'm real excited. And Nate, with all your experience with the military and logistics and making it so that things just always work on time, I'm also super excited to see how you guys have been working as a team to make something that all companies that are using intelligent mail and getting into seamless acceptance have a really fantastic tool. So Richard, you want to lead us off and tell us a little bit about what you've been accomplishing?
Yeah, you bet, Jeff. So the outcome that we've learned from the marketplace that mail service providers who are going to seamless acceptance full want is help with matching their undocumented barcodes with job info. Seamless acceptance is a big thing. There's a lot of buckets. But when you start talking to clients and you find out what's actually really got them concerned from an assessment perspective, it's these notices they're getting on a monthly basis that say that they owe $10,000 in extra postage, $100,000 in extra postage, $1 million in extra postage because of undocumented mail pieces. Now, when clients, I'm going to share my screen real quick here. When clients first get this assessment, you look here in month one in this graph, high low on the y-axis, which is high, and month one, month two, month three, what usually happens is they receive an alarming assessment. And we've heard people use terms like paranoia and overwhelm and major distraction when they talk about getting this notice. And so this takes their stress and their distraction levels to max levels, and they're spending a lot of time and a lot of energy, first of all, just trying to figure out what to do. After a while and reading a lot and digging around and talking to people, they start to figure out that really what they need to do is show the Postal Service the barcodes that are undocumented matched up with the job info for those barcodes. And they go and they manually scrape this information together. And sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months. And then after they scrape it all together and they present it back to the Postal Service, typically at that point, the Postal Service tends to back away significantly from the assessment, reducing it to a fraction of its original fee, or sometimes eliminating it altogether. So as we were in doing research, talking with customers, we met with dozens and dozens of customers. You and I personally flew around and spent time in their offices listening to them talk to us about their experiences. We thought, okay, the job to be done is not so much eliminating the assessments, because once you can show the job info, the assessments usually mainly go away. The job to be done is to eliminate the stress and the distraction and the time and the energy required to actually get to the matching of undocumented mail barcodes with job info. So what we did was we took that challenge on, and we've been building stuff for customers for over a year now to help address this challenge. So we grouped together all our best thinkers on the subject, and we started to rethink this thing from the ground up. In this first diagram, there's not a lot of detail you can see here, but this just shows you the extensiveness of the thinking that went in to understanding the full operation, what causes undocumented mail pieces, understanding how the barcodes come through the IV mail quality data feed, understanding the job info that needed to be gathered and how that comes through a mail.dat file, understanding the job status information that needs to be sourced out of Postal One. And then we started hypothesizing, how could we pull all this data together into what I'll call a data lake? And how could we turn that data lake into something where people could see their barcodes matched with job info and job status really quickly and easily? Once we started to see all the pieces that go into that, we then started to map out solutions. And we started coming up with hypotheses for how best to solve the problem. We use an iterative approach to this. We draw pictures and sketches, talk about it, try to come to a group point of view. Then we go and we actually shop our thinking around with subject matter experts, customers who'd already built similar systems, customers for whom we built a system like this, the architects who were over those projects, subject matter experts everywhere we can find them, people from the Postal Service. And we had everybody look at our solutions and give us feedback. And then we would iterate again and iterate again until we had everybody pointing at it and saying, if you can build that, that right there adds a ton of value. Once we had that concept in mind, we moved into a much more high fidelity phase of designing and making sure that we knew exactly what the experience needed to look like before we started coding it up. We also asked ourselves what's possible, what's not possible, what can be done, what can't be done. We got the whole thing pared down to a really clean project. We've now spent the last few months building it, and now it's ready. It's just about to come out. And when we say beta, what we're referring to is we're code complete on the solution. We've finished coding it. We are testing. We've completed our internal testing cycle, and now we're ready to let our earliest adopting customers come in and actually onboard to the offering. But with beta, what there is there's a small caveat. It's like, hey, this thing is not 100% done. So during this roughly month that we have it in beta, we ask you to run through all the features, use the system, and give us feedback, especially if you find something that looks like it's a little off or needs help, because we're just finishing it. Then we're going to launch this thing to the larger market. Now, I have to say, initially, when we set up the beta, we were hoping to just get a few people who were willing to come in and test the system. And we've actually been overwhelmed now by the response. We have dozens of people who are raising their hands now and saying, yes, I'd love to be in this. I'd love to participate. And we're now onboarding all of those folks through our system and getting them into the tool, getting their data feeds set up, just to give them a little sense, give people a little sense of what the system looks like. When you go into the tool, the first thing you're presented with is this view right here, where you can actually see you're in the Intelligent Mail Assessment platform. And for each CRID, this also works for multiple CRIDs, you can see under seamless acceptance and also move update, whether you have a red, yellow, green, and this corresponds to scorecard information. If you have a red, you click on that, and that takes you into this view. This view right here is what we call our summary overview page. And on the summary overview page, what we do is we take all that data, all your IMBs for a given time period. You can see how you can adjust the time period up there to the left. You select your time frame, and then within that time frame, we show you all the undocumented barcodes and all of the job information that we've pulled together for those undocumented barcodes, and we put them in some helpful groupings. We show you what's paid. We show you what's not paid. We show you what's partially paid. We show you whether it's matched to job info. We show you whether it's a redirected barcode, ID 93. We help you see whether or not it went to a commingler. We put it in these categorizations for you so that you can then quickly start moving into the data itself, which with the eye towards coming up with precisely which barcodes caused this assessment and how coming up with their job info so that you can export it to a CSV file, show that to the Postal Service, and get that assessment knocked out. And so that's really the whole concept behind the tool. Now, before I finish the demo and we kind of talk a little bit more about how the onboarding works and how people can get into the process, I'd like to just pass it over to Nate real quick, who actually is going to pull the live system up here and show what happens when you get down into the data, what you can do with it. So Nate, I'll turn it over to you now.
Here we go. So from that page, you saw a button that said reports. And let's say you wanted to look at all of the barcodes with their associated job information that were in the paid category. So you would open up that button, click on the paid category, and it would bring up a page like this. On this page, we have some default data attributes that we that we share here. And we've also got buttons up here that represent filters for each one of those. If you click on the columns button, you'll see all of the additional data attributes that you can add down here. So you can, pretty much anything that's possible relative to a job can be added as a data attribute here. I'm just going to click select all. And then if you want to add a filter, you'll see that all of those fields that are now in here, like let's say you wanted to throw in the mail class, you could do that. And now I've got a filter here for mail class. And if I go across through here, I can scroll to the right here and see all those data fields. Let's say I wanted to, you see, we've got about 63,000 pages on this data set for this particular client. If I go in here and I say, okay, I want to try just those that are in this one invoice period, you can see it's very fast. It'll bring in the just those associated with that period. You can see up here in the filters what is filtered. You can easily clear those out. And then once you're done configuring this data set to what you want, the power of a database. So if you've got something that's got millions of rows, right, you can very quickly get to where you want in this particular data set and then export that configuration to a document and use that for whatever purpose you want. You can pretty much do anything you want with this data in terms of configuring it in the tool and then producing an export to use for whatever requirement you have.
Excellent. And just for those watching and wondering, why are there two report buttons? That's a redundant button. It's a bug. It's logged. It's being removed soon.
Yeah. We're still tweaking.
We're still moving through beta. We're still cleaning things up. This is how
so that report button, though, it's kind of cool. If I click that report button, that takes me to all the other reports. So from here you can get there. From in the summary page you can get there. It all gets there.
Yeah. So again, Jeff, just to recap. They get an assessment or they're post a scary assessment and now they're managing Undoc on a regular basis to their thresholds. But the point is they get an indication from their scorecard or from an assessment, hey, I've got a problem. They jump in, they can actually go through and cull the total data set down by date range first, and then by all these available filters and all these different sortation techniques to the precise data they need, which they can quickly export to the file type, which they can go and have the conversation with the Postal Service about. The whole goal in this entire solution was to remove the stress, the distraction, the time, the energy that goes through trying to figure this out. And we've had so many clients explain to us now, yeah, that's exactly what I needed help with. I've been stressed out for 3 months. I've been distracted for 3 months. I've been running around for 3 months. I then realized what needed to be done. And I found out none of it was gathered together. And I had to go dig through the weeds and find out how to, and they're like, what one guy said to me, and this is my favorite thing to hear when we're developing software. I met with a customer the other day for the onboarding. And he said, I'll just say, it's like you guys read my mind. Like, this is what I'm thinking about all the time. That's what we're aiming for. And I told him, I said, it's not that we read your mind. It's just that we talked with a bunch of people like you who explained the problem to us in great detail and helped us, figure out how to solve it. So
we listen carefully.
Yeah, listen very carefully. Another couple things as we're about the system real quick. First of all, so this is SaaS, which means they don't need to take care of their IT stack. They don't need to worry about setting up all servers and all that. We do all that. The only piece of software that we require that they have installed to be interoperable with our system is our Postal Web Connector product, which we use to draw the data from the mail.dat file. So they need to have a Windows instance set up where Postal Web Connector can run and do its job of pulling the data. If they have already been logging their own IV feed, we have a number of customers who've been doing this for months now. If they've been logging their own error feeds, the mail quality data, and they're pulling it out of the normal feed that comes from Informed Visibility. We are now also building a feature as we speak, which will enable them to import that so they have that historical record.
Within the historical that comes up to date X, and from that point forward, we also begin bringing in their data, so we don't lose any historical IV data.
Right. Another frequently asked question that people ask is, well, if you're going to take my IV data, does that mean that it stops coming to me? No, that's not what it means. we actually become a steward of the feed. And that just means we get a duplicative feed sent to our system, and they get the same one sent to theirs.
Right.
But otherwise, the setup is minimal. We just need a little time working with their team to make sure that they have provisioned us as a steward of the IV data feed. And then there's a couple of other things we have to do with Postal Web Connector to make sure that it's configured properly. But then once that's done, they're in the system and they're able to start using it to, reduce this stress, reduce this distraction, save time, save energy, and get a lot of value. So, Jeff, I was about to move into how they can onboard. Is there anything you'd like us to discuss about the solution before that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, can you say anything about move update? Because I know that there's some people, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But we still see it. And, it can be a contentious thing between
Yeah.
the mail service provider and the mail owner. And I'm wondering what you guys have come up with there.
Yeah, Nate, let's talk about
I can
that.
show that. Let me bring that up here.
And maybe, Nate, just frame up the problem a little bit.
Sure. So, when you talk about move update, the issue is that, you have a threshold. If you exceed that threshold, then you get assessed a fee for each piece that has an error beyond that threshold. And the question is, how does it come to be that the MSP has errors for move update? And our understanding is that, you get your list from the mail owner. The mail owner is required to go through certain steps to validate that they have correct addresses. If they do not do that in a timely fashion per the requirements of the post office, and the piece of mail goes to an address that is not the individual that mail is labeled for, then that piece of mail is subject to a move update error. And so what we're showing in this tool is this. Let me share the screen here. It looks very similar to the other, but it in principle is quite different. So here's the chart. You'll get a summary chart when you click into move update. If you exceed your threshold, you'll have a red X next to that grid. If you're within 15% of that threshold, you'll see a yellow caution. You're getting close to your threshold. Okay. And what we show you here is, what's your total move update volume? How many move update errors are there? What's your percentage? How many mail owners do you have that had errors that they gave to you? And then for that volume that exceeds 0.5%, what is the cost of that to you? And then we list out here in hierarchically who is the chief offender, second, third, fourth, up to 5. We're going to look in the data and see whether 5 is the right number. Should there be more? Should there be less? But essentially, you'll have a summary here that shows where am I getting most of my move updates errors from in terms of mail owner. And then we'll have 3 reports that you can easily download. The first one is by mail owner. I just want to see a simple table that shows by all mail owners, the volume of their move update by period. Okay, that's easy.
For each owner.
Yeah, for each owner and their volume. Then by job, the likelihood is that I had 1 or 2 or 3 jobs that really where I had a big problem. So we're going to show you by job the same thing. And then the third one is a detailed one that has all job data associated with those move update errors. So you can filter and do with those what you want. But you'll get those first 2 that are configured to job and owner, and then the other one that has all the details. So that's the idea behind the move update.
Yeah, and our research has indicated that the Postal Service is not likely to budge on whether or not you need to pay for those move update errors. Yeah. Somebody's likely to pay. What this feature is designed to do is broker a good functional conversation between the MSP and the mail owner.
Exactly.
So that the MSP can say to the mail owner, "Hey, I'm out another $6,000 because your list wasn't NCOA'd recently enough, and so now I need to pay this. Do you think I should pay this?" I've met MSPs recently who've talked about how they have clients that have these problems on a routine basis because their address hygiene isn't up to snuff for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And they have just negotiated with the MSP that they will pay the overages when it happens. Yeah. And so the idea is giving them the data that enables them to have that conversation to say, hey, if your list is going to generate fees, then let's build that into your pricing.
Excellent. That seems like it'd be very useful to them.
Yeah. So Nate, if you could maybe stop that screen share.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just get into a little bit more about the how to actually onboard. So if you're interested in onboarding with us, then in this email that contains this video that we're sending to you, you're going to be able to find a link to our very next sneak peek. And it'll tell you all about when we're going to do it. And you have the opportunity to come into that meeting and you can essentially watch what we've covered here. If you've watched this and you're like, I don't need to do that, then what you can do is there's another link in this where you can actually set up a 30-minute meeting with me where I will help you onboard with our internal onboarding team and get you into the beta. Both of those links are included in the email that this video came with. If you're watching our podcast, we also provide in the notes of the podcast both of these links. So you actually have the ability to click on and come to get the information for one of our sneak peeks, or you can just book a meeting with me directly through the HubSpot meeting scheduler link that we have included there. So for both, that's the fast, easy path to the next conversation about how you onboard. Yeah, Jeff. So that's what we got going.
Yeah, it sounds like
next
it's
few
going to be
weeks.
super happy. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it sounds like people are signing up so fast, and you're going to limit this to 40. So
yeah, and we're already almost halfway there. So we need to be, now is the time to act. If you've watched this and you've said, yes, I'm interested, please book an appointment now. We might get to a point where we say, okay, we're full. Let's run our beta. Let's get all the information in, and you might end up having to wait until this launches later in the year. So we would love very much to welcome you now. Please make sure you take action today.
And with that, they're going to be getting other things like daily your score updates. I mean, so this system is something that's very comprehensive. We don't have time to go into it all, but this is going to be valuable for many parts of the company that sign up, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's this is one of those situations where I feel like another customer I spoke to the other day said, you really hit the mark with this one. Like, this is the issue we need help with. And we've just tried to create a high level of value. And the like you said, the fact that they get your score usage through the end of the year by signing up with our beta, that's also another added layer of value. And so, yeah, we're really excited to tell them all the details and get them into the system just as soon as they book one of those appointments.
Yeah, and it's great to tell them the details, but it's even better to see the details. Oh, this is what's going on in my system, and be able to participate with any tweaks and things like that. Because isn't it going to be true? Isn't it true that the early adopters get their influence in on some of the things that get implemented next?
Without a doubt. We're having daily conversations with customers right now, and we're going to continue to gather feedback. During the beta, we will set up meetings on a weekly basis for clients to attend. They have the opportunity to go ahead and give us feedback right in the app. They can just click a button and tell us their thoughts right there. And we review those all throughout the day, every day. But in addition to that, they'll have an opportunity to come to meetings with us where they can just sit down and say, okay, here's the experience I'm having. Here's some feedback I have of what would make the app more useful. We're in agile development mode now, which means every couple of weeks, we're going to be adding more capability and more tuning based on what we're hearing from the market. So this is a very good opportunity for anybody who has real passion around this and wants to get in there.
Anybody with a perspective. Yeah.
Very welcome to the conversation for sure.
For sure.
Well, Nate, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, just really excited to see this get out there.
So without further ado, I'll just tell you, I am so impressed. Nate, you've been fantastic with logistics. All your Army experience for all that years clearly shines through. And Richard, with all your experience at Infusionsoft and Grow and Intuit and all these other companies, it really shows that this process is coming together. And I think that all the users are going to save a lot of time and money. And, they all want to have the ability to focus on what's important to them, not defending assessments. So look forward to this really having our clients grow and prosper. So
Absolutely, Jeff. And let me just say, it's been a great pleasure. It's been a great pleasure and a great honor to serve this great industry. It's been wonderful. Everyone we've worked with has been just such a fantastic collaborator, and just a bunch of people who are very solution focused here. And so it's really been fun. It's been really fun, and it's going to be fun seeing it create a lot of value.
excellent. All right. Well, be well. Bye-bye.
All right,
Well,
guys, take care.
thanks, folks.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Seamless Success. Start elevating your strategies as a mailer and make a big impact on this continuously evolving industry. Like what you just heard? Want to get more of it? Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating at podcast.windowbook.com. See you on the next episode.